right, let's start with Cheryl.
Hey, Garrett, how you doing today?
Doing well. How you doing?
Good. As a veteran, how do you look at what the season was like? Or is it hard to, because there was all the fits and stops with COVID and injury issues?
It's a little more difficult than usual, but you can always assess the situation. It was a very interesting season, with the reasons that you mentioned. I didn't even get to go to training camp because of COVID. And then all the things that we've had happen, a big time trade happened. And then, our star player getting COVID toward the end of the season when we were making our push to get in. With that being said, I think we left a lot of things on the table. We didn't reach our full potential at all. And I think, we have something that we need to look back at and learn from as a team. Each player individually, no matter if you're back here or not, you can learn from this season and understand how to do things better. There obviously were positives, but we didn't reach our goal, and that's disappointing.
Do you get a good sense that this team's going in the right direction?
Yes, no question. I think the leadership, AK, Mark, the Pat, and then the coaching staff that they brought in, Billy has done a great job of starting to set a culture here. And culture, it's a cliche word, but it's something that actually does happen if you want to become a good team, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes years to create that. So I think it's definitely going in the right direction. I was pleasantly surprised by the organization, by the coaching. It was really good, and it's a bright future.
Thank you. Have a good off season.
Thank you.
Darnell?
Hey, what's up, Garrett? How would you summarize the season from an overall league standpoint?
When you say overall league, what you mean?
Obviously all the challenges and circumstances that everyone was forced to deal with. How do you think the league pulled it off? Anything that stands out about what you guys experienced this season?
Yeah, it was difficult, man. It was, this is my 12th year as a pro, 11th year over here. It was interesting, to say the least. I do applaud the league for being able to pull this off. I was there in the bubble. It's much easier to control things in a bubble, obviously, but to be able to play a full season, 70 plus games, all of these different cities. I don't think there was one game that was canceled that was not played. And we didn't have any three games in a row, I don't think, which is good. It was tough on our bodies. But I think as a whole, to be able to get some fans back in the building at the end, by the end of the season, and just pull off what they were able to pull off and accomplish was good. And I applaud the league. I applaud the PA for being able to do that. Obviously there were a few more injuries, I would imagine, because of the way we did things, but hopefully this will be able to get us back on schedule next season. And hopefully the pandemic would have shortened. But I'm excited. I'm happy that we were able to get this accomplished the way we did.
Thanks for that. And then from a Bulls perspective, just from a roster standpoint, you play with this team now for 72 games. What do you think? What kind of pieces do you think this team needs to take the next step next season?
Man, honestly, the pieces. I don't think we really need certain pieces. I think we have the talent right now. I think it's just a matter of, after that trade, just getting to know each other. You don't want to have excuses, but the fact of the matter is we've had one practice since the trade, and I don't think Zach was even, I think he had COVID during that time. So, it takes time. A trade like that happens when you bring in somebody like Nick, like Vooch, that's going to be your 1B, 1A guy, to be able to mesh well. And you bring in, one or two other guys that are in the rotation. It's going to take a while. So I think having guys together for a full off season training camp is definitely going to help. Arturas and Mark are going to do what they do. They've shown that they're really good at their job. They keep things close to the vest, so we won't know until it happens probably. Well, I should say y'all won't know until it happens, which means I won't know until it happens. And but I think they understand what it takes to create a good team. And they got a great head guy in Billy to be able to put things together. So whatever that piece is, if it is out there, I think they'll be able to find it. But having Zach reach the potential he was able to reach this year. And then, like you said, having a guy like Vooch, have that center. I think we have two key pieces that are able to build off of. And obviously, I'm really enjoying how Pat and Kobe have grown this year. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
All right. Thanks, Garrett. Have a good summer.
Appreciate you, D.
Casey?
Yeah, Garrett, thanks for your time this season, and see you either on a Zoom machine or hopefully in a locker room somewhere next season.
Right.
You were the first one in on Zach to us. I mean, I remember you early in training camp just kind of saying this guy's a superstar, and we've been here, we've covered him, we saw the growth, but you were kind of more emphatic than maybe even we were. What did you see then, and how do you think his season went overall now that he achieved that All-Star status?
Yeah, I mean, I had a little inside information from Ryan Saunders, who was my coach, one of my assistant coaches in DC when he was an assistant in Minnesota. And he told me, about his mentality as a rookie and his love for the game. And then obviously he didn't have to tell me about his athleticism. You can see that. So when I realized how much he loved the game and his work ethic, coupling that with his athleticism and his skill set, I figured he'd have a chance to really be really good this year in this league. And then seeing what he was able to do, his ability to shoot, seeing what he did in Charlotte last year, that mentality and having that competitive spirit, I just really believed that eventually he was going to be a guy that was going to be a, all-star, a very, very, very good, excellent player in this league. And he turned into that this year. I think the biggest thing with him that I've mentioned to him multiple times over the last few weeks is just the ability to withstand playing both sides of the ball at 100%, at that high level that only honestly the greats can do. Guys like Jordan and Kobe with that athleticism, they were able to guard as well at that high level without getting tired. So I think just building that endurance, and then, his ability to get anywhere on the court offensively is something that not everybody has, and being able to score from three different levels. The next piece for him is getting to the foul line even more. And I think, learning how to get fouled is going to be something that he probably is going to work on this summer. And he brings, that's the next piece for him to bring to the table, and, get him extra 2-3 points a game, which will be, tough for guys that are guarding him.
Thanks, Garrett.
Sam Smith, go ahead.
Garrett, I understand that, there's been a lot of disruption with the team, especially because of that trade. And, no offense to some of the other teams in the Eastern Conference, but could you fathom how this roster could not be among the top 10 in the Eastern Conference?
Nah, I really can't, Sam. That's why it's so disappointing, because of the talent we have. Even before the trade that made us better talent-wise, we had the talent to be a top 10 team, as you said. I think you look back at the games that we lost, Oklahoma City, the Portland game, the Golden State game, the Atlanta game up 9, all of these games that we had and just literally gave away or let slip through our fingers. It's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow, especially when you're, as vets, you understand that you can't get those games back. And those are the ones that when you're talking to the media, if you talk to the media on May 17th, those are the ones that are going to come back in your mind. And, I think, younger guys don't realize it as much. The longer you're in this league, the more you realize how important each game is. But it's very disappointing, very frustrating. We're a team that definitely should be in the top 10 by the talent, by the coaching, all of these things combined. Obviously, like I said, Zach being out during that crucial push time it didn't help. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to see to actually see the stats and see that 10 teams had a better record than us in the Eastern Conference. That's hard to swallow.
When you look back on it during your career, will you look back and think of it as one of the more lost opportunities that you've been involved in, because you've been involved in so many situations?
Yeah, I would. In a situation where the first year that that it's really a play-in situation, 10 teams to be able to get in, and like we talked about, like I just said, all of the opportunities that we had slip away. But it's you can't dwell on it. It is what it is. Got to learn from it, and hopefully I'm back next year to help learn from that and progress to something more next year.
Thank you.
No problem.
Jamal, go ahead.
Yeah, man. What's up? You talked about Kobe, I know, a lot all year, and kind of the way you were sort of helping mentor him, coach him. I don't know kind of how you want to describe it, but just kind of what were you maybe most impressed about his growth and the way that he finished the season?
Yeah, Kobe is like an annoying little brother. You love him. I mean, Kobe I think he progressed really well this year. The biggest thing he got better at, in my opinion, was not turning the ball over. He's a guy that can really shoot the ball really well. Didn't get to play a lot of point guard last year. And I think this year playing more point, it's tough to play point guard in this league. I don't care where you're coming from, overseas, out of college, it's a whole different league. And, learning how to play, you're going to, especially if you have an aggressive mindset offensively, you're going to, get into situations where you turn the ball over. Decision-making is going to be what it is. But he's done a great job. He's progressed this season, not turning the ball over as much, picking his spots. And I think it really helped, us playing through the post a little more after the trade to get him, to do honestly what he does best right now, which is spot up and shoot, and I'll be able to play off the post. But I really appreciate his ability to compete, man. Honestly, defensively, I think he's done better this year on the ball and pick and roll, understanding how to navigate screens and whatnot. And that's something that everybody can get better at. But he showed progress in that area as well.
When you look back on this sort of weird pandemic kind of season, what things will maybe stand out to you, this year compared to the other 14 years of your league?
The late night 11 p.m. test, you get a cotton swab in your nose at 11 p.m. Fall asleep, you got to set an alarm to wake up later that night. Waiting for 30 minutes before you can go get dressed in the locker room. With the POC stuff, people hoping to get COVID, younger guys hoping to get COVID so you don't have to wait for the POC test. And Patrick Williams asking questions that I never thought people would ask. But loving the fact that he was honest enough to ask those questions and trusted us to not make fun of him, even though we still did.
Can I ask you one of those questions, or should I ask him?
You should ask. It's a bunch of them. One of the questions he asked me was, he literally didn't know that he couldn't push somebody with two hands when they would drop. Like somebody was walking through the lane, he pushed somebody with two hands, pushed them, and the ref called it. He turned and did his patented, I didn't know that wasn't a foul. But ask him, they're a lot. They're a bunch. And yeah, Pat has a very, very high ceiling in this league, and his ability to his humility is gonna help him reach that potential even quicker.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, and Andy.
Yeah, what were some of the things that stood out to you about working with Billy in particular?
His pregame and postgame speeches, talks, whatever you want to call it, were were probably the best I've heard in terms of being able to get guys ready. After a game where we win, but should have won by more than we did, being able to impart on guys how important it is to set the tone and win games the way you should win, or, understanding that a win is the win, but, taking advantage of opportunities, and his ability to hold guys accountable. I think that's something that's a lost art in this league by coaches, because of the fact that players honestly make so much more than coaches do. And I think Arturas and Mark deserve a lot of credit in giving him the autonomy to be able to coach, and him using that autonomy in a way that, he coaches the right way, in my opinion, holds guys accountable, lets them know that, this is their role and this is what he expects. This is what the team needs from them. And then holding people to that standard. He did a really good job of that.
Thanks.
Chuck, go ahead.
Thanks, Kristen. Hey, Garrett. So I think everyone agrees you were and are a great addition on the court, off the court, your professionalism, the mentorship and leadership with the young players. So where do you see your world taking you in 21-22?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Chuck. This is the NBA. I learned about the business early on, man, through my 10-day contracts and things like that. So I can never say what's going to happen in free agency. I can only say what I would like to happen. And I really enjoyed Chicago. Even with the snow, even during a pandemic, the organization, I think, from what I'm hearing, took a turn for the better. It was great while I was here. Like I said, I think AK and Evs and Mark have done a great job of trying to build a culture here. Billy as well, and I would love to be here and be that same veteran presence, that defender, the guy that the young guys can lean up on, coach can lean up on to impart things to the team. And I feel like I got a few more years, to play to really compete on the court. So I would love to be back. But as I said, I don't have a player option, so the option is not mine. The choice is not mine. But once we get things together, this is definitely a place that I would love to come back to. And as I said, finish what I think we can start, what we started here in terms of being able to get to be a contender in the East.
Thank you.
No problem.
We'll take just one more here from Christos.
Hello, Garrett. How are you?
Doing well. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I would like to ask you, what did you learn from that season, and what was the most special part to be a Bull?
I learned a few things. Honestly, on the court, I learned a couple of things defensively that I didn't know. How to get into the ball a little more during the pick and roll. Learned a little more leadership skills just by talking to a lot of younger guys on this team than I've had in the past. Having Thad here with me, his leadership style, learning some things from him. And then the best thing about being a Bull, even in the pandemic, you go to other arenas and it's only, 3,000 people in the arena, and you got a lot of Bulls fans, even on teams that are, top 2 seed in the conference. And that shows you what type of reach this organization has, and the fan base that this organization has across the country, but across the world. So I'm excited, as I said, if I'm able to be back here next year to see that in full effect here at home. If we're able to have all the fans and and see what that's really like.
Thank you very much. Have a nice off season.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, Garrett.